today we're going to build a set of cornhole boards. These are really easy to do. I've made probably a dozen sets. I've always got people asking for them. And we're not going to paint this one. Luckily, the people that want to paint it themselves. That's the most tedious part of this process, but the build is super simple. So, as you can see, you can get pretty elaborate with them. With your painting, you can put blue lights in there, a ring of lights. This is just going to be a basic build. And super easy, you can do it in about a day. So let's get at it. I'm using a half a sheet of 3/4 inch plywood for this project. Typically, I've seen in the past people using 1/2 inch plywood for the tops, but I like using 3/4 inch because it works better with the pocket holes and it's more durable. So right here I'm basically cutting it to size 48 inches by 24 inches. Your next step is going to be putting the holes on the top of the board. The holes are 6 inches in diameter, and the center of the hole is 9 inches down from the top and 12 inches over from the side. Now I'm using a 6-inch hole saw to cut my holes out. If you don't have a 6-inch hole saw, you can always use a jigsaw or a router with a circle plate on it. Our next step is to cut our 1x4s to length so we can assemble the base. Per board, we're going to need two 22-inch lengths and two 44.5-inch lengths. Alright, now that we have our 22-inch and 44.5-inch 1x4s cut, this is going to make up our base. Now it's time for us to cut some pocket holes. Now, if you don't have a pocket hole jig, you could go ahead and just screw through the top of your wood and end butt these and screw them, but I prefer using the pocket hole jig. It makes it pretty simple. Now, for the 22 inchers, we're just going to put a couple pocket holes along the way. On the top side, here's what I do for the 22 inchers. Now the 44.5 inchers, we have to put two pocket holes on the ends so they can mate up with the 22 inches. Just tall enough ceilings. Now we'll also run a string of pocket holes along the top as well. Now I just need to do the other two exactly the way I did these. Okay, the way we're going to lay this out with our 22-inch piece here, we don't have any pocket holes in the end. We have them in the end of the 44.5s. So they're going to butt up like this so we can screw into them. Now, one thing you want to make sure when you do this is that you've got all your pocket holes facing the same direction. You don't want some going down, some going up. I have all of them facing up right now. It doesn't matter which way you do it. So, one of the things I found best for holding wood steady when you put pocket holes in is you can clamp it. And so it's nice to have one of these really long clamps around every once in a while. If you don't know, when you use a pocket hole, when you drill, you could have your wood shift temporarily when the screw hits the wood, and it'll move, and then once you got a hole drilled in it, that's where it's going to stay. So if we can keep it from moving, that's the best we should do. That's the best we can hope for. I've drilled and driven thousands of pocket hole screws. It's a really nice system, and it's a really nice way to work, especially for cornhole boards. If you're going to make a lot of them and you don't have a pocket hole jig, I would definitely consider going out and getting one. So now I'm going to do the other side, and then we're going to be ready to put these on the boards. All right, now we're going to attach the top to the bottom, and what you got to do first is figure out which is your good side. I'm putting my good side down. That way when I finish it, I'll have a nice surface. Now we're going to take our base that we just put together, and we're going to evenly space it all the way around. You're going to have some overhang on the fronts and on the sides, front, back, and sides. Can't remember. I want to say it's an inch. It's approximately an inch all the way around. And once you get that set, now it's the time. Just take your screws, and we're going to screw the base onto the surface. So now it's starting to look like a cornhole game. The last thing we need to do is add our feet to the back of it so it gets to the proper angle. First we want to take each one of these legs and cut them at a 25-degree angle. Don't know why I came up with 25 degrees. 22.5 degrees makes more sense, but this is how I've always done it in the past. Now we're going to take the 1x4 legs and cut them to a length of 11.5 inches. Now we're going to cut the round over portion of our foot. So now we're in the final stretch. We're going to put our legs onto our board. Right now I'm using a prop stand I made so that I can find the proper angle and make attaching the legs simple. I just basically find the angle of the leg sitting flush with the tabletop and bumping up against the back of the board. That way it'll always come to the same angle. Now attaching this, holding it into place while you drill a hole, trigger clamps come in really useful. With the legs still clamped into place, now you can run your bolt, washers, and nuts into place. And once that's secure, move on to the other side. Well, here's our cornhole board finished. Everything besides the painting or decorating, which is something I hate to do. So luckily the person that wants this does not want it painted. They're going to do it themselves. So this is the super simple, easy way of making cornhole boards if you want. Just one thing I wanted to go over, this prop stand that you saw me putting the legs on with. I've tried many different ways of stabilizing this, keeping it so it's even, and this has come out to be the best solution. And if you're interested, this is pretty simple. It's just at 7.5 inches tall from the bottom is where I put my groove at. So I put a groove just so this back 1x4 will rest in it. And the overall height is 9 inches. So I place that in there, put my legs on the right angle, and we're all set to go. So hopefully this is something you're going to want to tackle. It's super easy to do, and at one day maybe, a lot of fun. So until next time, I'll talk to you later. I'm John. Bye.